right now, it's time to decide.
Republicans have shown up.
We have team coverage on election night in America, from Minnesota to our nation's capital.
I'm Kent Erdahl at a polling place here in Minnetonka. I'll explain how voting has looked at polling places across Hennepin County and what voters are saying as they weigh in.
The road to the White House running right through Wisconsin. I'm Morgan Wolf, live in Madison with an update from the battleground state.
And making sure your vote and information stays safe this election day.
Securing the election systems happens typically long before the elections take place.
The news starts now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It is election night in America. The polls are open and thousands are making their voices heard in Minnesota today in what looks to be a very close race across the country for the White House. The balance of power in Congress also on the ballot. Here at home, all 8 U.S. congressional seats in Minnesota are up for grabs tonight, as well as a Senate seat. And in the Minnesota legislature, there is a crucial Senate race and a handful of House races that will decide the balance of power in our state legislature. We have team coverage from our nation's capital to hotly contested races in Wisconsin to the polls here at home. We begin with Kent Erdahl, who's been at polling places all day, checking in with voters. Kent?
Hi, Julie. Yeah, we've been popping around to different polling places throughout Hennepin County today, and from what I've seen, it's been pretty smooth and uneventful. And I'll have to tell you, that's what I'm hearing from people across the board. Likely, they say, because of the fact that we have nearly 1.3 early votes in Minnesota. It's really taken a bite out of maybe some of the lines and congestion that people had worried about on an election day like today. For instance, I'm in Minnetonka right now, a couple of precincts voting right now. The only real line and wait was right when the doors opened this morning. The same can be said at Powderhorn Regional Park, the recreation center there. They have a couple of precincts as well. It moved really smoothly there, even in Golden Valley. And when I spoke to voters throughout our visits today, I'll say the general mood matched the weather. A little gloomy, a lot of unease and anxiety about the stakes.
It is, in my lifetime, the most consequential election. And I'm a bit nervous about things, but I'm hopeful that we're going to get through this.
There's a lot that could change, so it's pretty important that everybody gets out and has their say.
Adding to the stakes involved here, we did encounter a couple of election challengers deployed by the Minnesota GOP who are inside the doors here. They've been kind of monitoring to make sure everything's on the up and up throughout the day here today. I understand there have been no formal challenges, a couple of inquiries, things have gone okay. The Minnesota GOP, we asked how many election challengers they might have across the state. They said 1,400 across Minnesota. That is a lot of people. Keep in mind, though, there are more than 30,000 election judges in Minnesota throughout the day. Back to you.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Kent. And the top question on everyone's ballot tonight, who do you want in the White House? With Minnesota's governor running for vice president on the Kamala Harris ticket. Lauren Lemanchek is live from Harris's alma mater, Howard University in D.C., where the vice president and the governor will be watching results come in tonight. Lauren?
Well, Julie, you can see behind me there, the stage is being set here at Howard University. Some of the performers are starting to warm up and practice here. This, as you mentioned, is where Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are expected at some point in what should be a long night to address a large crowd here at Howard. I did just hear from someone with Walz that he is right now off-site with his family, his wife, his kids, and extended family, and will be there watching some of the results before coming back here tonight. Now, Governor Walz did make his very last campaign stop of this race this morning in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He was joined by his wife, Gwen, and his kids, Gus and Paige, at a diner where they thanked volunteers for their efforts. Pennsylvania is an all-or-nothing state for the Harris-Walz campaign. The vice president spent all day there yesterday while Walz hit Wisconsin, and the campaign has hoped that Walz would be an asset in the Midwest and in some of the working-class parts of crucial Pennsylvania.
I want to say thank you to Pennsylvania, but thank you to folks across this country who wrapped their arms around our family, and I hope saw yourselves in us, middle-class folks who are just trying to do the right thing by their community.
Now, we did just get some information from the Harris campaign. They're feeling very good about turnout in Pennsylvania, especially in college areas there and in North Carolina, but they say Republicans have turned out quite strong in Florida. Julie, we'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. We'll check back often. Well, the Republican ticket cast their ballot this morning. Vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance voting in Cincinnati before heading to Trump election headquarters in Florida. Former President Donald Trump voting in West Palm Beach and stopping in to thank his campaign staff afterward. Trump and Vance will watch the election results come in from Mar-a-Lago. Well, all eyes are on Wisconsin this year. It is one of 7 key swing states the presidential candidates need to win the White House. And polls indicate it will be an incredibly close contest this year. Morgan Wolf is live in Madison tonight. Morgan?
Hey there, Julie. Well, just within the last half hour, we learned that 30,000 absentee ballots will need to be recounted in Milwaukee, and this is because of an issue with some of their machines. There was a door that was open, and they now say that they have closed it, and they are just going to be recounting all of these out of precaution. Here in Dane County, we're expected to hear from the election officials in about 5 minutes or so, and they had massive numbers of early voting. I mean, across the board in Wisconsin, over 1.5 million early voters. But dialing in on that presidential race, it will be key, as Wisconsin is a battleground state, but this state is also getting a lot of focus for the U.S. Senate race. So we are talking about the Democratic incumbent Tammy Baldwin facing off against Republican Eric Hovde. So he's a businessman with similar viewpoints of former President Trump. He was endorsed by him. In the last Marquette Law School poll in Wisconsin, Baldwin had a slight lead on Hovde, and as did Vice President Harris over Trump. Now, again, a lot of early voting here that will go into play. They're saying that 10% of people who voted early in person in Dane County registered that day. So really interesting data to look at throughout the evening. And again, though, I just want to remind everyone it's going to be a long night because there is actually a state law that doesn't allow any election officials to count those absentee ballots and those early votes until 8 a.m. on election day. So as I said, we're about to hear from them here in Dane County, where Madison, the state capital, is located. I'll give you an update as soon as we get it.
All right. Thank you, Morgan. We have more team coverage tonight from the headquarters of the Minnesota GOP and DFL. Let's begin with Lou Ragoose in Bloomington at the GOP watch party. Lou?
Hi there. Yeah, things are still in setup mode here at the GOP election headquarters, but I just spoke with Minnesota GOP Chair David Hann about the races that he is keeping a close eye on tonight. Now, Hann says that party officials are really hoping to chip away at what's become known as the DFL trifecta in Minnesota, which is control of the state House, Senate, and the office of the governor. And they're hoping to flip a few of those seats. In addition to that, Hann says that one congressional seat in particular to keep an eye on is in District 3. That's the open seat that used to belong to Democrat Dean Phillips. But before him, Republican Eric Paulson held it. Right now, Republican Tad Jude is taking on former State Senator Kelly Morrison, and Hann says that he likes Jude's chances in that race. Of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on several of the Minnesota State House races as well. All it takes is 4 races to flip that. And so now we'll turn it over to our Jennifer Hoff, who is over in St. Paul at the DFL election headquarters. Jennifer?
Lou, thank you. Setup mode here as well at the Intercontinental Hotel, as you mentioned, in St. Paul. The party really kicking off when polls close about 8 o'clock. Obviously, the big ticket we're watching tonight, the Harris-Walz campaign, because if Walz wins, that would mean that Peggy Flanagan, our lieutenant governor, of course, ascends to the governorship, making her the first native woman to lead our state. But that would also mean that the Senate president would become the lieutenant governor, and that would also be historic. Senator Bobby Champion would be the first black lieutenant governor to serve Minnesota. As you heard Lou mention, there are several congressional races that we are watching as well. Senator Kelly Morrison in that congressional District 3, as well as the state Senate race that if Republicans win that tonight, they could very well flip that chamber again for the Republicans as the Dems try to stay in control there. So certainly a lot at stake tonight that we'll be watching. Back to you.
All right, we'll check back. Thank you, Jennifer. Well, one of the other most closely watched congressional races in the nation is right here in Minnesota. That is the 2nd Congressional District, where incumbent Democrat Angie Craig faces a challenge from Republican Joe Tayrab. Chief Political Reporter John Croman is here with a closer look at that race. John?
Hey, Julie, Angie Craig is running for a 4th term, and for the 3rd election in a row, she's running against a Marine veteran. This time it's Joe Tayrab, whose resume also includes time as a federal prosecutor.
There are people still who are undecided in this congressional race. We are finding them at the doors. I know it's stunning.
2nd District Congresswoman Angie Craig revved up campaign volunteers in Eagan as part of her final election day door-knocking push, while her Republican opponent, Joe Tayrab, cast his vote at his local polling place in Burnsville.
I've just been honored to run in this race. I've been honored to get to know the people of the 2nd Congressional District here during this race. I'm excited about what's going to happen tonight.
Minnesota's 2nd Congressional District extends from the southern metro suburbs into Scott, Dakota, LeSueur, and Rice counties. That mix of rural and suburban areas makes it a highly competitive swing district.
This race really is about and has been about freedom. The freedom for a woman and her family to make their own healthcare decisions.
I ran because I love America, and I can't sit idly by while I see the American dream slipping away. And so I was just wanted to do something about it.
Tayrab served as a Marine Corps attorney in Iraq, and in civilian life became a federal prosecutor who handled some of the Feeding Our Future fraud cases and Bloods gang racketeering cases.
And I think Americans are going to increasingly wanting to go back to the Trump economy, the Trump border, and where we were on actually supporting law enforcement. So I'm really excited about that.
Craig was an executive at St. Jude Medical before turning to politics. She unseated incumbent Jason Lewis in 2018 and fended off challenges from Marine veteran Tyler Kistner in both 2020 and 2022. She's made the news for pressing the postal system to fix delivery problems, and last year was attacked in her Washington, D.C. apartment building.
We've done the work, not just to win over voters, but we've done the work every single day for the people of the 2nd District.
Now, in their debates, Tayrab has gone after Craig for voting for the big-ticket federal stimulus bills, which he blames for making inflation worse than it would have been. Craig defends his vote, those votes, pointing out that the Inflation Reduction Act lowered costs for prescriptions and capped insulin copays for seniors. Back to you.
All right, it's going to be an interesting night. Thank you, John. We will be here all night long watching those results come in. We'll be streaming on Kare 11 Plus starting at 5:30 p.m. with live reports, results, and expert analysis. You can download Kare 11 Plus for free on several platforms, including Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV. Now to some breaking news tonight. St. Paul police have released body cam video of officers shooting Earl Bennett at the intersection of University and Snelling last week. He is the man now charged with triple murder in an encampment shooting in Minneapolis. Joe McCoy joins us from the newsroom with the latest. Joe?
Julie, St. Paul police released about 20 minutes of video showing the interaction between officers and Earl Bennett on October 28th. This initially started after officers reported hearing shots near that intersection. Now, body-worn cameras show multiple officers approaching the intersection of Snelling and University in St. Paul. The area is very busy with several cars going through the active scene despite officers' attempts at trying to stop them. Police say Bennett pointed a gun at his head and then pointed the gun at officers. They tried to negotiate with him before eventually firing numerous shots.
Sir, we need you to put the gun down.
Wait a second, yeah.
Sir.
Surveillance video shows Bennett with the gun to his head before pointing his gun at officers. He did survive the shooting and at last check was recovering from critical wounds at Regents Hospital. Julie.
All right, thank you, Joe. To the weather now. It's been a rainy day for folks heading out to the polls. Let's check in with Belle for a look at what the night holds. Hey, Belle.
Well, Julie, about a quarter inch of rain. Let's take a look at what's happening around the evening as we just have a few more sprinkles left. It is only 44. We were at 49 earlier today, but the rain has been steady, as you can see, but it is coming to a close in the next hour or so, except for the northern suburbs that still have some snow, or rain, not snow, thankfully, all the way up toward Duluth. Here is your planner for the evening as skies clear out. The sun returns tomorrow for the rest of the week. We'll have details in a couple of minutes.
All right. Thank you, Belle. Also, when we come back, new details on a deadly shooting after an alleged assault overnight in St. Paul.